Hey, welcome to our Cuba, Georgiana presentation, and super excited to be doing this on YouTube Live. So for those of you that are just joining us online, hi. I don't have anyone moderating comments, but if you comment on the video, I will respond at the end as soon as we're done. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm guessing we'll probably chat for half hour, 40 minutes or so. And just to give you an idea of what this trip entails in fly fishing in Cuba. So we just scheduled our next Cuba trip in October 31st to November 7th of 2020, and that will be my 7th trip down to Cuba. I'm really excited about going back. So I've been to a couple different locations. And the first one I ever went on was to Jardines de la Reina, which is Gardens of the Queen, and it's in kind of like the southeast area of the island. And it's a great location. It's been it was kind of like the first location amongst the different Cuba fly fishing operations and spots. And so that was the first place I went. I've been to a couple different places, but now I've really enjoyed going aboard the Georgiana, which is down on the Zapata Peninsula, south of Havana. So, this will be my 4th trip down to that exact spot. So I'm excited to go back, and we'll jump into it. So usually what we do is that we'll fly into Havana, and we usually like to fly in at least a day early. And that gives us the opportunity to kick around Havana, see the sights and the sounds, listen to some exceptional live music, and drink some Cuban rum, and go to different restaurants and stuff like that. And so it's fun. It's just a fun city to just kick around in. It's safe. People are just great. They're friendly. It's a pretty wonderful experience. So usually what we'll do is that we'll stay in like an Airbnb, and I kind of know the areas of the city that are good to stay in. I don't like to stay right in the really big tourist district, because I mean, it just doesn't feel like you really get the real flavor of the city. And so there's some different areas of the city that are great place to stay. Where, it's mostly amongst the Cubans, and it's just fun. There's like cool little cafes you can walk to, and all sorts of stuff. So this is kind of a panorama view outside of the place that we stayed this last trip that we were down there. And we walked around. We saw kids out at the park playing this ball where they smack a ball and have to get it by the other guys. They don't have like all the sports equipment that kids have around here, and so they make do with just like a rubber ball. So it's fun just to kind of see them kind of out just doing their thing. In Old Town, we went down and saw live music playing. This just isn't like a small little restaurant. I mean, there's just music all over the place. So this gal actually grabbed one of the guys in our group and like worked on his dancing technique with him a little bit. It was fun to get some video of that, but I'm not going to put that in here because I don't want to embarrass him. So there's a lot of nightlife that happens in Havana for sure, and it usually starts after my bedtime. So I mean, more of like the dance venues, music venues, stuff like that. I mean, they don't even get going until 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, 11:30 at night, and they go until 3 or 4 in the morning. So if you want to experience that one night, you just kind of have to pull it through and make it happen. But so here's in Old Town. I'm hanging with Lyle and John. These guys were super fun to spend the week with. But just some just beautiful architecture. We actually went around. There's like rooftop bars on every single one of these buildings, and so we went to every single one of them in one night, just kind of making a whole loop. And just had, I actually got pictures from every single one of them. And you can see the blue lights over here, or like the blue lights here, and we just like kept going around and around and around. So, lot of fun stuff. So, usually when I talk to people about Cuba, the thing that they are always, the thing you always bring up is, I want to go ride in an old car. So there's definitely an opportunity to ride in old classic cars. Most of them don't have their original motors in them anymore. They've been all replaced by small little like Hyundai diesels or something. But the interior and the exterior are really well cared for on a lot of them. And pretty much any classic car you see, it's a taxi. With how much people make in a month down here, like for them to have a car, they got to be running it as a business. And so you'll even have some of them where they'll have family members that are running that car and working it while they're on a break. And so those cars they're on the road a lot, trying to maximize every tourist dollar for their family. So the cigars are great. If you're a cigar smoker, you know that Cuban cigars are some of the best in the world. They're still not cheap there, though they are quite a bit cheaper than you can get them up in Canada or anything like that. But it's fun to go to one of the little shops, buy some cigars for the boat, or even to bring back. You are allowed to bring back cigars and rum, and we usually do every year. Some of the rum is pretty incredible for how cheap it is, and so I always bring back a handful of bottles, and I can talk a little bit more in a minute about my strategy around that. But this is kind of the stuff you see a lot of the time, where you just kick around town, you just see like taxis lined up. So the places where we stay, a lot of them are really old, really clean, well taken care of, but really simple, and just great little places to crash. And it's pretty inexpensive. We get them for it feels like pennies on the dollar compared to the hotels. We have stayed at some of the hotels in the past, especially the first couple trips that we did. But then as I got more familiar with the city and kind of learning about the different neighborhoods and just getting more comfortable with hosting groups down there, that I started to not use the hotels and use Airbnbs, which ended up saving us hundreds and hundreds of dollars. So after hanging out in Havana for a couple days, then we transferred to the boat. It's about a 3-hour drive south from Havana on a really nice little tour bus, and we get down to the boat, and here's Rolando greeting us, and here's the yacht that we're on for the week. So we get on the boat, and we have dinner, spend the night on the boat, and it stays in this little harbor, and then the boat goes out a few hours. It takes, I guess it probably takes three or 4 hours to go along the kind of southern shore of Cuba. So this is like Bay of Pigs. It leaves the Bay of Pigs. It goes along the southern shore, Las Salinas, and heading its way towards the tip of the Zapata Peninsula, and then the boat anchors up, and then it stays in that place for the whole week until we leave. So this is what it's like when we're leaving in the morning or coming back. There's a couple people on the deck to help us out, and we go out on the skiffs to fish. We have our rods all lined up on the side of the boat. They give us our lunches, our waters, all that kind of stuff. Throw those in the boat, and then off we go. And they're pretty efficient at doing that, at turning around 5 skiffs or 4 skiffs or whatever it is. What is it? 5 skiffs, 6 skiffs. Ha! Yes, it keeps growing. And so it just takes a few minutes for us to get going in the morning. So the staff on the boats are great. These are a couple of our hosts, and just on all the different live aboard trips I've done, man, the staff have just been delightful. Just really great people. It's fun to get to know them and learn about their family. So this is the captain. I gave him some sunglasses. He didn't have any like good polarized sunglasses, so we gave him a nice pair of Smiths. And then Denai, she's got a couple daughters. I brought like art supplies the last time I went down for her daughters. I mean, the people are just so appreciative of all that kind of stuff. They make very little money per month, but you know, a lot of their basic needs are taken care of by the government. And so even if they have some spending money, and the people that work in the fishing operations in the tourism industry have a lot more disposable income than, you know, anyone else that just kind of works in Cuba. But even if they have the money, there's just not stuff to buy. Like, I've gone in stores and there's just like whole aisles where there's honestly potholes in the store, in the aisles. Like, you have to like move your cart around potholes, like, and just rows of shelves that are just empty. And I remember one time sitting outside this one store, and one of the guys was on this hunt for camera batteries. And I'm like, dude, Jim, you're not gonna find camera batteries anywhere in Cuba. And he went all over the place. Went to like 5 different spots, asking all these different people, and like, you ain't finding camera batteries in Cuba. So we go to this larger store, and there's just so many people going in and out of this place, and they wouldn't let me in because I had my backpack on, and I returned to the store later because I wanted to check it out. But while sitting out there, I was amazed because there's so many people going in, and then I realized that people coming out they didn't have anything. And then Jim comes out, of course, no batteries, and I'm like, man, there are a lot of people just coming out without anything. He's like, because there's nothing in here. There's just whole aisles of just emptiness, and people are coming in to check to see if something has come in. And so, I mean, just their infrastructure is just so different than what we're used to. So on the boat, it feels very different than around town, and what I think a lot of people, their experience is that live there, because we're well taken care of. I mean, our dinners on the boat, I mean, every night. I mean, they serve us wine, lobster. There's usually some other kind of fish, like we'll have like a snapper or something like that. Sometimes tuna. They'll have chicken, pork. I mean, they just put out a massive spread of food. It's pretty remarkable. So this is like the second deck of the boat, and we spend a lot of time just hanging out here, having a good time. And there's big long cushy bench that goes around. There's some table and chairs. So we hang out there quite a bit. Just after dinner, we're hanging out, and it's fun just to watch the sunset and have a good time. There's a bottle of Havana Club 7-year aged rum that is a part of the package deal for the group. Every night we get one of those, and so we share it, or have half of it and save the rest for the next night. We can buy another bottle for $15, and so sometimes we do that, especially toward the end of the trip. But it's a fun time, just kind of hanging out, and I mean, their hospitality is pretty remarkable. So we go out fishing on the skiffs, and I mean, just doing this a bunch now. I mean, I'm starting to learn some of the things just because I like to ask a lot of questions, and hopefully I don't like drive the guides crazy by asking questions. But like, here's an example of, there's these channels that are cut through the mangroves, where this channel goes for miles, like miles and miles, and it's just like this straight cut through it. And I was asking our guy Sheaway, I'm like, what is this? Like, who made this thing? And he said that the Spaniards cut this thing in here, several hundred years ago, and they used it for like transportation or I'm not really sure what, but it's just incredible. And so the sometimes we'll go back into these channels. Tarpon fishing would be great back in there. There's just like baby tarpon all over the place. They're not picky at all, so that's pretty fun. Sometimes for lunch, so we'll have lunch on the boats, and usually they'll pull up in a nice little spot. They have like lunch areas. Here's one of our little lunchtime visitors, and so they have kind of like pets where they have their regular lunch breaks, and so we pull up, and all of a sudden you have all this wildlife like running over to you, which the first time it happens and if you don't expect it or understand, you're like, I'm getting attacked by iguanas. What is going on? But you know, they're fun. So that was an iguana. Here's a hutia, and I mean, these things are like, they're like this big. It's I don't know. I guess like a rat, but they're kind of cute. I guess they eat them down there. The first year we actually went down there, our guide like chased one down and leaped into the bushes and like came up with it by the tail. It was pretty remarkable. I'm like, who does that? It was awesome. So back in the mangrove area, this is a fun little fun video where the guy that I was sharing the boat with throws a cast in here. So you'll see here, there's a tarpon hanging out in that little shady area, and it eats right here and he misses it. Right there, missed it. So he throws it back in there. Okay, there it is. And then tarpon eats it. So, and then they go crazy. They start jumping. This one was interesting because of with the tide, with it being low. There's like sandbar there. So I'm like, what do you do with a fish on the other side of the sandbar? But we're able to drag it through. So most of the tarpon are in this size. I mean, a lot of like 10-pound fish, 15, 20-pound fish. Where we're at here is pretty close to like the sea, and there's not like waves, but sometimes there's a little bit of swell with the wind. But in that area, sometimes there's some much larger tarpon. And I can't remember if it was this day or the day after. We found this huge school of tarpon. I mean, there were hundreds of fish, and they were all like 40 to 80 pounds. And first fish I hooked was like 60, 70 pounds, and ended up losing it. But I mean, it was so cool to see some of those bigger ones. But back in the mangroves, that's where a lot of the smaller ones are. So this is more mangrove fishing tarpon. This is a video clip I haven't like shared online or anything like that yet. I'm kind of just waiting for the perfect opportunity to do it. Pretty amazing experience of what happens when you hook a tarpon. They jump a bunch of times, but I've never had one actually jump in the boat. So this was pretty wild. And that was time flies like a couple nights ago, maybe last week before. So I guess it's 2 weeks ago. And I had forgotten that one of the scales, so there's the fish in the boat. Yeah, spilled our beer, everything. So there's the tarpon. So one of the scales came off the fish, and I threw it in my sunglass case, and I had forgotten about it. And I just found it like 2 weeks ago. So I had a little souvenir sitting on my fly tying desk. I was pretty excited about that. So the bonefish are nice sized bonefish. There's another picture of a tarpon. These are like the flats that you'll see a lot of bonefish on. So this is outside the mangrove, so we don't really see tarpon out here, but we'll see permit out here. And that's what I really like to fish for. I really enjoy chasing permit. And man, the guides, they're all pretty young. They all have quite a bit of experience, but they're just like, they're still hungry. Like they work their tail off. Like they will see a permit like way across the flat, and they will push into the wind, pulling that boat to go like after that thing. And I've been out on the flats before where that's not always the case, where sometimes a guide sees a permit and he's like, oh, it's just, we can't get to it. And which means like he doesn't want to have to push into the wind and move the boat that direction. But man, these guys will just be like grunting and going crazy, just trying to get to a fish. So I'm really impressed with their work ethic and just like how good of guides they are. They're awesome. So here's Shayway. There's a nice bonefish. There's a couple opportunities to do some wade fishing. So nice sandy flats, you can get out, do some fishing for bonefish. I would say most of the fishing it happens from the boat, but it just really depends on your preference and like what you want to do. So you can fish from the boat, you can hop on. But if you want to wade fish, you have to let your guide know that like earlier in the day. Hey, would it be possible to do some wade fishing later today or at some point today? And then they'll know at what time of the tide, and then they might take you to a location where they can, you know, have more wading opportunities. One of the things that I really like is that you have like all of this interior, like these interior flats that are in like up in the lagoon, and you have like coral flats and all this kind of stuff. But then you have like the sea, and there's a beach, and this sandy beach runs for just like miles and miles. I mean, we can run a half hour in the boats just for like forever. It's amazing, and it's really fun to fish this. I mean, and you don't get to do it every day because sometimes the wind isn't the right direction. But if the wind is right, there's tarpon here, and they're usually bigger. They're not all 10 pounds. You get some bigger size fish. But you get snook out here on the white sandy beaches. There's bonefish. There's definitely permit, and there's also like big mud snapper. There's a snook that I got. This was interesting. So I was using this olive colored bait fish with a 2/0 size hook, and there was some silty water. So the guide Hector tells me to cast in there because he thinks that there might be snook in there. So I hook a fish and I land it, and it's a bonefish. I get a bonefish on this baitfish fly. So, and then when I release the bonefish, it's like, oh, there's snook. So I threw the fly out there at the snook, and I hooked the snook immediately, and then there's the snook. So I let the snook go, and then you can kind of tell from kind of the shoreline and the water. I get back in the boat, and he's not even up on the platform. He's like, there's tarpon. And I throw the fly out there, and I hook a tarpon, and I lose it. I make a couple more casts. I hook another tarpon, and I get it and hop out and take a quick picture with it. And so I hooked a bonefish, a snook, and a tarpon all on the same stinking fly. I couldn't believe it. So I'm like, hey, we got to go for permit. He's like, there's fish. There's a lot of fish. I'm like, doesn't matter. Like, I mean, we're close to a super grand slam. Like, we just need a permit, the hardest one to get, of course. But this was like early in the day. We spent the entire day, never saw another permit, or never saw a single permit. And then the next day we saw permit all over the place. And so that's just kind of the nature of flats fishing. Permit are pretty rare. And when they show up, it's awesome, but it's not automatic. You can't just make it happen. So there's my buddy Carl with the fish. There's another snook, another tarpon. Here's one of the guys at Idell with a tarpon. This is a spot where we saw we had seen a flash in there. We didn't know what it was. So Carl threw a fly into this little channel, made a great cast, and boom, the fish just like took off. I wish I had the take on video too, but I just have like the big run. I mean, this fish is just going and going and going, and I mean, it took like 200 yards back, on the 10 weight. And so it's fun because at this area because there's just so many different species you can fish for. So this was a nice big jack. Same day we also caught I caught a box fish, cowfish, and it ate my little crab fly, little permit fly. And I guess you see them all over the place, but it's really hard to get them to eat the fly. Apparently, that's what I was told. I've tried a bunch to get them, and this is the only one I've ever had. But the thing that was amazing was, and this video is maybe a minute and a half long, but sorry if it's a little gory for you. You can look away. But our guide used to be a commercial fisherman before the government trained him to be a guide. When they took this whole giant area and turned it into a big like marine reserve. So there's no commercial fishing that's allowed in this area. So you have just tons of different kinds of fish. And I caught the fish, and he's like, "Oh, those are really good to eat." I'm like, "Really? Okay. Well, let's keep it. We'll keep it for dinner." And so this is him cleaning things. I fillet a lot of fish. I clean a lot of fish for clients, like a lot of salmon. And if you had told me to fillet this thing out, this is not the tactic I would have gone with. He's using this knife, but probably could have used the machete instead. But the fish has like this crazy exterior like box that it's around it. So he like cracks the thing open. He has to cut one little part here. So this part back here is like soft still. He cracks this thing open, pulls the fillets out of this thing, like I should ask some marine biologists about this fish, because like this was just the most, it was the craziest thing to watch happen. He pulls this thing out and it's like, it looks like 3 chicken breasts. And like, it was so crazy, but it was amazing. Like, so the chef cooked it up for us. It was so good, and there was plenty to go all around. But yeah, it just skins the thing. Just maybe that grosses you out, but to me, I'm just fascinated by that fish. And then, like, you can't really hear Carl say it, but he's like, oh, it's in the box. So here's more of the sandy beach area, with just the different kind of environment that you find back in the lagoon. So we've actually seen quite a few permit just cruising along this beach. I've hooked one here, ran me through a bunch of rocks and broke me off. There's these giant boulders. That was unfortunate. So I haven't landed a permit here. I did get a permit like in kind of on the other side of this, back in the lagoon a little bit more. There's a tarpon. Slide's kind of out of order there. So from the boat though, we just see like incredible sunsets. It's just like, it's super relaxing, especially fishing for permit, because there's permit are few and far between. It doesn't matter where you go in the world. I mean, that's just kind of their species. And so you just have a lot of time just to kind of chill out, relax, and kind of get the vibe. So this is Shayway, one of the guides, and he operates one of the boats that is one of the tandem boats. So on the boat, this is a really cool situation. So there'll be 8 of us on the boat, and there's 2 boats that take 2 anglers, and then there's 4 boats that take 1 angler. So for half of the trip, you get one-on-one fishing with the guide, and you get to fish all day. It's pretty remarkable. I mean, usually you have to pay a lot of extra money to get one-on-one guided fishing especially in the saltwater flats environment. And then you have half of the trip is doubled up on a little bit of a larger skiff, and it's got a bigger motor on it. It can handle a little bit more of the bigger water and go across to this whole other area that you can't get to in the smaller skiffs. And the smaller skiffs aren't small; they're still 17-foot skiffs, but they just run really shallow because they have a lighter motor on them, and they're just a little bit more compact. And there's some flats that are so shallow. Those, just having you and a guide on it, you can really get into some pretty remarkable water, just super skinny water. So there's Carl with a bonefish. Here's Hector releasing a bonefish. That's a nice bonefish. I mean, good sized fish. So I would say that there are huge schools of bonefish that are 2 pounds. There's a surprising amount of bonefish that are 4 to 6 pounds. A lot of like 5-pounders. You'll see them like sometimes in fairly decent sized schools. Sometimes you'll see small groups, 2, 3, 4, 6 fish. Sometimes singles that are 5, 6 pounds, 7, 8 pounds. I remember seeing one fish while we were hanging out on the boat having lunch, and we're like, hey, look, there's a shark. And then the guy started flipping out and like trying to grab the rod and all stuff while this thing took off. But it was well over 10 pounds. And he just never got a cast to it, but we thought the thing was a shark. It was awesome. It was pretty sweet. So here's here's like the different skiffs, and then this is what they use kind of to shuttle back and forth to where the boats get stored. They store them on a little mangrove island, and then come up, run out, get them. And so in the morning, or this was actually, we were having lunch on the boats, and the boats were all tied up. We were just kind of hanging out. So there's an empty bottle. I can find more empties than we do full ones. It's the good stuff. It's 7-year age rum. So it's really fun to get to know the guys that are part of the guide crew here, and I mean they're just great guys. And so I'm actually buddies with a handful of them on Facebook, and we chat. My goodness, like with a couple of them, I mean every week, every other week, you know. So it's great to stay in contact with them, but But I like to go down. I mean, like when we get to go on trips, just you know, with our in our place in society and in this world, I mean, we really are blessed, and so to be able to go to these different experiences and have people that live there share their water with us and share that experience with us, I think is just a really it's a really special blessing. And so one of the things that I like to do is, I mean, yeah, we tip them, yeah, I mean we do that, but I always feel like that's the minimum, and for me, like I just don't want to live my life just skating by on the minimum. And so I just believe that radical generosity really transforms communities, transforms the world. And so so one of the things that I always like to do is I always encourage the group to bring some different some gifts down, and so. But this is where it becomes like totally self-serving. So I'll bring, the different gifts that I bring for these guys, like sometimes like last year I brought like several pairs of Smith sunglasses. I brought art supplies. I brought conventional tackle fishing because these guys all like to hand line in the Bay of Pigs. Like they have like little rowboats they row out and they hand line for tuna and wahoo and sailfish. Like total like Hemingway old man in the sea type stuff. Like it's rad. So 80-pound line in bulk. Like I bring that down. I bring big hooks down for them. I mean just all sorts of stuff. But I weigh it all before I go because I know I'm going to be leaving it there. And so I bring some different packaging to be able to bring back some bottles of Cuban rum. And so with my fishing tackle and the gifts, like I'm at 50 pounds on my bag. So I weigh out the different gifts that we're gonna leave. A bottle of rum is about 2.5 pounds. So if I leave, 10 pounds worth of gifts down there with the stuff. I mean, I can bring back 4 bottles of rum, and that's really fun to like give those as a gift to someone, or because you just can't get that around here, and they're $15 for a 7-year aged bottle. My favorite rum is the Santiago de Cuba 11-year aged rum. That stuff is ridiculous. The Havana Club Selección de Maestros is a really good rum as well, and so the 11-year Santiago de Cuba is $50. The Selección de Maestros from Havana Club is a $40 bottle. There's a 12-year Santiago de Cuba as well. It's it's good, but I think the 11 years actually better. So just the regular Santiago de Cuba aged rum, it's like $7 or whatever, and it's actually pretty good, especially if you're just putting it in mixed drinks or whatever. So, but anyways, here's another shot of my boys. They're good guys, man. Marcos is training these guys. They're super professional. They all do the same thing, and they work as a team too. It's really cool how there's not a competitive thing with any of them about trying to hold secret spots or any of this kind of stuff. Like they go back and every night and they all talk about their day, and they all learn the fishery together and talk about their experiences together to just so they can all. I mean, they have a really communal kind of perspective on taking care of customers, and so I think it's just a really cool thing. So beautiful sunset. It's even more beautiful in person. The rods, when we get back at the end of the day off the skiff, we hand the rods to the guys that are there helping us out. They clean the gear. They rinse it all off for us, set it out to dry. One last sunset for you. So that's kind of the scoop on our Cuba trip that we have coming up. It's a lot of fun. I can bring 7 people with me in the boat. The rooms are shared. Most of the rooms are shared. The accommodations are small. You're on a boat. The boat's an old boat, but it's well taken care of. And so it's a really comfortable boat. We don't really hang out in the rooms anyways. We hang out usually upstairs, kind of in that big communal area. But sometimes people will go to bed early or go down and read or whatever. But the boat doesn't rock around much. In 3 different trips I've done down there, we had one night that was really windy and the boat was kind of rocking a little bit. But so if you normally get seasick, it's not. I wouldn't say it's really something to be worried about. And it'd be pretty easy to, you could either get like the little patch that helps, or pop a pill. But I mean, most of us do not take any of those kind of medicines, because it's just not really necessary. So. Hey, thanks for joining us today as we've been talking about Cuba, and I'm happy to answer any of your questions. So I'll check to see if you guys have any questions. Give us a call or shoot us an email. There's information on our website too, and so check that out. We also have some different videos on our YouTube channel of different Cuba trip highlights and stuff, and would love for you to consider joining us in 2020. Thanks.